Well, the Bulldogs can hit, but can they pitch well enough to win in the SEC?
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Mississippi State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm Jaron Spor, nearly a decade in journalism and a national college football writer with Athlon Sports, joined by my co-host, Ryan McPherson, a longtime journalist and college sports fanatic. This your daily home for everything Mississippi State. Today, we're diving into the biggest question surrounding Mississippi State baseball right now. Is the pitching staff becoming a concern as the season moves forward? Then we'll recap a strong showing from the softball team, including taking a game from #1 Tennessee. And we'll wrap things up by going around college athletics and hitting the biggest national storylines you need to know. Reminder, on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook with daily videos Monday through Friday. So check that out. And real quick, today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. All right, Landon, we dove into the game, the series, yesterday's episode, where we talked about everything that went down. We also talked about what we learned about the team. But is there a concern about the pitching staff? Because if you look at all their 4 losses, they've put up a good amount of runs. I mean, at least good enough to win. But in all 4 of them, they've lost. Now, some of those are errors by the catcher, and some of those are errors by fielders. And so it's not always just the pitchers giving up all these runs. But as we talked about on yesterday's show, in the 4 losses, they've allowed 7 runs on average. So is that a big concern?
I don't think so yet. I mean, it's one of those things to kind of monitor. Every team, because what you mentioned before, like if McPherson isn't on and Valincius isn't on and you don't win those 2 games, you're hoping to win the 3rd one. Just because of how, even though Duke Stone's pitched very good in his role, he just doesn't tend to go as deep in the game, so you have to rely on the bullpen a little bit more. Every team has those problems. Every team's 3rd starter is kind of not necessarily a weakness, but not as strong. And the bullpen gets slightly more exposed by the last day of a series. And sometimes you have to run out some guys who you're not as confident in pressure situations. I don't think that's a unique problem to Mississippi State. I think because both of the number next to our name that all these polls are putting, along with what we all thought this team is capable of, it's kind of magnifying this problem a little bit more to where I'm not ready to say it's a problem yet. I still think we're in the feeling out stage because, yes, they played, 2 months of baseball at this point. Most of those are against bad teams. Most of those, it doesn't matter who you have on the mound. You're going to win just off the sheer force of your offense. So I think they're still kind of in that feeling out process, exactly what roles to put people in these pressure situations. They have a general idea of, O'Connor has the general idea, hey, I can rely on these 8 guys. Now for probably about 4 or 5 of them, he's finding the right places to put them in.
And I like how you worded that because it is definitely it's so early in the season that I wouldn't just flat out say this is an issue. It is definitely a monitor it because it could be an issue. And so what we want to make sure people know is like, we don't want to just come on here and be like, hey, this isn't a problem. Like it'll be fine. It's going to fix itself. Like,
I mean,
we don't know that. Now, we think it will probably fix itself, but we don't know that. It's not one of those things that it's like, for example, if Josh Hubbard, for example, who averages 22 points, goes through like a 3-game stretch where he averages 6, it's like, okay, we've seen him play well. It's not a big deal. He'll snap out of it. Because we haven't seen them against some of the best competition kind of snap out of these things that are causing problems. Then it's one of those things that we're like, hey, we don't think it's a problem. But if later on in the season, you're like, oh, shoot, they are allowing 10 runs a game against all the good teams. And this is why they're like, then now why that might be. And the signs are there, at least. Let's just put it that way. The signs are there as to why there could be problems moving forward. Again, do we think they're going to last? No, we would, kind of err on the side of, hey, it's going to get figured out. But we understand that there is at least your ears are perked up because it could be a problem.
Yeah, and you mentioned the numbers on how many runs they've allowed against these better teams, and it's not like those situations where like a reliever comes in and he just doesn't have it that night and gave up 8 runs in 2/3 of an inning and that ballooned the numbers. It's not like that happened 2 or 3 times. It's consistently, and it's kind of the same guys. Billingsley is kind of a repeat offender. He's had a couple games in the middle, but he's a guy that I personally don't trust in those tight situations. He's a guy I'm putting in mop-up duty when you're already up 8 runs. He's not I'm putting in a tight situation, which, I mean, that could just but because he's had some good games, but sometimes it's not. Pitzer, for the most part, has been solid. He choked a little. I don't know if I want to say choked, but he gave up a few runs. This time had that one bad outing. I think he's really only had one that was not so good earlier in the year. So it's just kind of been a mix of guys. It hasn't been outside. And then I'm Sweeney also. He had a couple good outings in the middle, but early on and lately, he's been one of those guys who you see coughing up 2 or 3 runs just about every time he's in the game. And so those are guys that I would, if I was a coach, start putting in those lower leverage situations. We're either already up big, get them out there to try to work through what's going on. And I would not have them near the mound in a close game unless I'm out of arms.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And, it's one of those things that they're a little too inconsistent right now. Some of the people know, which again, it's expected. These are, first off, they're college kids. There's going to be some up and down, and it's baseball.
And it's early in the year. Some of these guys, new teams still. I mean, you're a month in, but it's still a new team, new situation. You're still finding your footing, especially as a relief pitcher. You've had, 4 or 5 outings at this point?
Right.
It's some of them are going to find their footing in a month and make me look stupid for saying I wouldn't trust them in a tight game.
Right. Yeah. And, and the thing that's kind of hurt them a little bit is the guys that have made their 2 most errors on the team are arguably their 2 best players. Ryder Woodson has 4 errors on the team and Ace Reese has 3.
Yeah.
Again, that's supposed to be your 2 best players, and they're the ones that are, coughing it up a little bit.
Yeah. Help if they're next to each other either in the infield.
Right. And then, Duke Stone has 2 errors on the team, and he's kind of become your third guy. I mean,
those are both wild pitches. I don't think either of them are like a throwing error in the field or something.
Right. Yeah, I think they're wild pitch errors, which I mentioned on yesterday's show. Some of them should have been stopped by the catcher. Some of them were difficult, and so it's not all on the catcher either. So again, it's just one of those catch-22 things. Like it's hard to know whose fault is at fault because it's kind of like this. Actually made me think of this yesterday, and I didn't mention it, but it's kind of like when a receiver drops a ball.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, hit your hands. It's on the receiver, and it's like not necessarily. Like
maybe
the receiver will tell you that. Like some of them are really difficult to catch, and it's almost impossible to catch, and that just happens. And that's the same thing with the catcher. It's one of those that it as an average fan will see it like hit off his glove or something, like, oh, he should have caught. And it's like sometimes they have a weird spin on him. Sometimes it's like an insane reach to try to get a glove on it. Like it's not as easy as it hit your glove, you got to catch it.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all heard that on the show, but I think a helicopter was flying very low over my house for a minute and it kind of freaked me out. But yeah, that can happen. And I do think Ryder Woodson's gotten better defensively as the season has gone on. A lot of those errors were early in the season, and I questioned his defense. His bat is great, but if he's, costing you that much defensively, can you really run him out there every week? And he's improved, made a couple great plays this weekend. So I think that's coming up. And Ace is Ace. I mean, he's a competent defender at third. He's not someone that's going to win a Gold Glove over there. He's going to go out there, and you hope that those errors just don't come up in the worst situations. And when they do, his bat more than makes up for it.
It's just in 20 games.
Yeah, that's just who he is.
3 errors really
he's a solid defender who's never going to be great. He's just going to have those moments. And that's how a lot of third basemen are. And his bat just happens to be
solid
better.
Defender, great batter. I mean, that's what he is. Like I said, 3 errors in 20 games.
Nothing bad. It's just they seem to happen at bad times.
Yeah, and same with the wild pitches. It seems like those always happen when the game's tied or a comeback happens. But coming next, we're going to look at the softball team. They got a major win this weekend. We talked about it a little bit on Monday's show, but we got to talk about the series as a whole. We'll do that next.
What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when the momentum shifts, you can move with it. And I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin.
Well, the new year is here, and it's the perfect time to reset your routine and refresh your space. If you're spending more time at home, you might as well love how it looks and feels. That's why you should turn to Wayfair. It's a one-stop shop for getting your home back on track. From bedding and mattresses to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair makes it easy to start the year fresh. Wayfair has everything you need for a full home refresh all in one place. Whether you're updating your living room, organizing your space, or upgrading your work from home setup, Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find exactly what works for your style and budget. I picked up new bedding and accent pillows from Wayfair, and it completely changed how my bedroom feels. It's cleaner, calmer, and more put together. I love that I could find pieces that match my style without spending a fortune. Shopping is easy, delivery is smooth, and everything arrives exactly as expected. Get organized, refreshed, and back on track this new year for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, if you've been thinking about joining the Everydayer Club, now's the time. Again, you get ad-free shows and access to our group chat on Discord. And if you're signed up before the NCAA tournament tips off, you can get into our Everydayer Club bracket pool on Discord for a chance to win Locked On merch. Should be a lot of fun. Right now, you can use code MARCH to get your first month free. Head to the URL that's in the show notes to learn more. So softball, it was almost an amazing weekend, but overall it was still a very good weekend. They played the number one team in the country. We said if you could escape with one win, outstanding. Well, they ended up escaping with one win. They lose the first one 3-1 in 9 innings. It was 0-0 heading to the 9th.
Crazy.
They walk off Tennessee in the second one, and then they lose 4-1 in the third one. And in that game, it's 2-1 in the top of the 7th. So they were competitive in all of them. Alyssa Faircloth pitched in the first one, and she was outstanding in that game. She pitched all 9 innings. Did allow 6 hits, did allow the 3 runs, but she had 9 strikeouts in the game. Again, it's one of those games that could have gone either way. Mississippi State ends up getting 2 hit in the game.
Yeah.
So the offense didn't play its best in that one. And then in the second one, Peja Goold pitched that one, and she was outstanding. 7 innings. She allowed 2 hits the whole game. 10 strikeouts, did not allow a run, and Taylor Troutman, who was my top dog of the week, hit the walk-off home run in that one. And then now we'll say Tennessee did not pitch their ace except for the last game of the series. You did get, like I said, 1 run in that one, 4-1 loss. But overall, you got to be very happy if you're Mississippi State softball. I mean, they're 27-4 this year. I mean, just they're having a fantastic season.
They really are, and that first game, that 9-inning game, that's crazy. Like a 0-0 game going a couple extra innings. And I'm going to take issue with one of the hits they put on Alyssa Faircloth. I didn't get to watch the game, but I saw some clips and I read the box score play-by-play. If a person hits it to right field and they're thrown out at first, that is not a single and you were thrown out at first. That is the same as grounding out to second. That
Right.
it's just an out. So, I don't really understand that box scoring situation,
Yeah.
but, that game was crazy. I tried to figure out I think Tennessee had 3 hits going into the ninth, and Mississippi State had 1. So, the fact that there were, like, 4 hits
Yeah.
through 8 innings is crazy. That is some great pitching, and then to come back the next day and to
And ultimately,
basically
she probably just tired out in the ninth.
Yeah.
I mean, she pitched every inning, whereas Tennessee had 2 pitchers pitch that game.
Yeah, and then that last game, I mean, Peja Goold was nails, and Troutman coming up with the big hit to shut out Tennessee is an
Yeah.
accomplishment. I mean, it really is to hold them to what is that 7 runs across 3 games. Even if you lost all 3 games and you held them to 7 runs across 3 games, that's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Um, obviously you want to win every series, but that honestly probably wasn't really realistic against this Tennessee team. But taking one from them and playing them close in the other 2, that shows if you put this team in a tournament, they could steal a series from a team that's supposed to be better than them.
You know, we've seen them play, obviously Clemson. We've seen them play now the number 1 team in Tennessee. They beat Clemson once, lost the other one. They did run roll them in the 1 win that they had. And then in Tennessee, they took 1 out of 3. I feel probably even better about my prediction that they are a super regional team.
Yeah.
I legit think that they can make a run and be in a super regional. They could possibly host a regional. It's kind of a long shot because the SEC play is going to be very tough, but I could see it. We did talk about it, and I don't know the schedule off the top of my head, but they do get to avoid like Oklahoma. Now I know they played Florida. Obviously, they played Tennessee already. LSU is ranked, but they avoid Oklahoma. They avoid Texas. They avoid some of the big dogs in the SEC.
Mhm.
And so it is very possible they could get some big time quality wins
Yep.
and end up hosting a regional. I really think that's in the cards at least.
Yeah, this series made me more excited to see what this team does because they'd been on a roll, but you mentioned it, outside of Clemson, they pretty much only played a bunch of teams they should beat.
Right.
It wasn't like they got tested regularly. So to their first real test to be the biggest one they're going to have all season, and they do this.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is just a jumping off point and they get a little bit better. And you see this team. I mean, they're going to be trouble in the tournaments, in the postseason tournaments. Yeah, I mean, Georgia's their next big one, and then South Carolina over the weekend. So they got some. I think those are teams you should be taking 2 or 3 from. I mean, they're both solid programs, especially this year. But I think with what we've shown, this Mississippi State team should take 2 or 3 from teams of that caliber. And if I'm OU, Texas, all those top 5 teams that we've talked about are kind of that next tier above everyone else. I don't want Mississippi State in my bracket.
Yeah.
Not because, you still feel like, hey, we're better than them, but they've proven that on any given night, they could take us to our limit. And if one thing breaks wrong, we're out of this tournament because this team's that good.
Yeah, I mean, let's say that was a super regional against Tennessee. I mean, you got it to the 3rd game, and anything can happen in the 3rd game. And again, it's 2-1 top of the 7th. Really, anything can happen. Now, Tennessee ends up winning the game. And I will say Pickens probably would have pitched all 3 games, and so that's a little different. But regardless, like, as you mentioned, they're a team that if they played Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, these teams, maybe even Florida, throw them in there, get 1 out of 3, and you'd be very happy. Now, they don't play Oklahoma or Texas during the season, like I said. So that's at least a positive. But everyone else, they should take 2 or 3 games in every series. And if they can do that, they can definitely host. I know a lot of people, because of the loss to, what was it, Belmont?
That was a fluke loss.
It's kind of a fluke. And that I would say that kind of proves it at this point with how they've played against Clemson, how they've now played against Tennessee, that was just kind of, they just didn't have it kind of thing. But what this is showing us is their pitching is good enough to put them in every game they play.
Yes.
Every game they play, their pitching is good enough to at least make them competitive and give them a chance to win. Because Peja's been great and Fairclough's been great. And, and so it'll be exciting to see what they do moving forward. All right, coming up next, we're going to go around college sports, look at some of the biggest headlines there, so don't go anywhere. Well, the biggest stretch of the college basketball season is almost here. Buzzer beaters, bracket busters, and those unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for something like that, well, that's bucket list stuff. The hard part is always actually getting tickets, long queues, prices jumping around, and surprise fees at checkout. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly simple to use. The Game Time guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay, period. The seat view feature is a game changer. You can see a panoramic view from your exact seat before you buy. That's my favorite feature. I've talked about that many times. Zone deals let you pick the section and save even more while Game Time selects the seats. I love being able to follow teams in the app and get alerts when new deals drop. No stress, no guesswork, just a smooth experience from start to finish. That's exactly what you want during the busiest part of the season. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today.
Welcome to the 5-hour energy flavor draft. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot. 5-hour energy has a wide variety of flavors with something for everyone. Some of my favorites are the ones with zero sugar, just because I don't always want to take on more sugar than what I get with how I normally eat and drink. And one of my flavors that's a sleeper, this is part of why I love the zero sugar, you can get things like confetti craze. And, you know, it's that delicious blend of rich, buttery, freshly baked confetti cake, smooth vanilla frosting, and a sprinkle of sweetness in every sip. You know, it's smooth, almost like a dessert that you're getting to drink with that energy, rich, indulgent sweetness from start to finish. And you can find your new favorite flavor of 5-hour energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon.
All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, a part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, going around college athletics, not a ton that's happened.
No.
Especially college football is kind of in its dead period. And not actually in the dead period in terms of recruiting is still happening, and you can visit stuff that just got allowed. But spring practices have just now started, so not a ton that's out there yet news-wise. But the men's basketball tournament field is set, so there's already a ton of teams that are ticked off about that because they got left out. The one thing I will say, though, you got some – I think you even have some games tonight. I think – isn't it tonight and then tomorrow night, I believe, is your what do they call them, first 4 games or whatever.
I want to call them the play-in, but I don't think that's the technical term.
Yeah, play-in for NBA. I think it's – I don't know what they call them. But anyways, those games are tonight. You got a couple of those games. You got some NIT games tonight. Yeah. I think they just call them the first 4. But anyways, they got those tonight. So those are always fun to watch. Yeah. And I know with, spring break is here, and that's always the sign of the tournament starting and kicking off. And then it's always fun just sitting on your couch Thursday and Friday and watching as many games and Saturday, Sunday too. But watching as many games as possible. So even though Mississippi State's not in it, still should be a lot of fun.
Tournament's always fun. There really isn't much going on right now. There's, obviously we got the game against Jackson State. Well, now it's this afternoon, not tonight.
I got moved up. Yeah.
Moved up to 4, so this afternoon. I kind of expect a bullpen game. Charlie Foster pitched, I think it was an inning and a third over the weekend, so I wouldn't expect him to get a full start this time around, so we're probably going bullpen game. Hopefully you get up early and I get to see Jack Bauer out there. That's what I want from these midweek games, but it should be one to kind of help you get right before you got Vandy over the weekend.
Yeah, you got to get right, have a big win, and then you got your next weekend series in the SEC. Hopefully, you can go and get 2 out of. Again, I said SEC get 2 out of 3 every game you play, every series you play.
Goal.
That should be the goal, and if you do that, you'll be very happy. Obviously, get some 3-0. Now that you lost one 2-1, you really do need to get 1 3-0 to kind of get that average to 2-1. But yes, it should be a lot of fun. Seeing this weekend series, and then like I said, with basketball March Madness here, should be a lot of fun as well. But all right, well, thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Mississippi State. On tomorrow, we can talk about the Jackson State game. Well, not just Jackson State, but more preview the weekend series because it's going to be here before we know it. Not do a full preview, but just kind of talk about some things that have taken place. So we'll do that, and we'll look, and obviously we got a recruiting report on Wednesday, so we'll talk about that with football. Spring practices, like I said, are starting up from a lot of teams across the country. We'll kind of talk about some storylines we're looking for from Mississippi State. So make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Mississippi State to get all the latest episodes. Reminder on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. Never miss an episode. The Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Mississippi State ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to the custom link in the show notes to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On College Basketball. For Locked On Mississippi State, I'm Jaron. That's Landon. Until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.